Recently, entertainment giant Glenn Campbell lost a 6-year battle to the disease of Alzheimer's, and as such, Alzheimer's is now once again in the spotlight of many people's minds. Hello, my name is Dr. Robert Bartosh of Proactive Wellness and Injury Center, and my intention in this video is not to so much talk about the disease of Alzheimer's in particular, but rather the organ that it affects, and that is the brain. And in doing so, I just want to remind you that the body that you now occupy, the body that you live in, has been fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's governed, it's orchestrated, it's maintained by that brain that sits in your cranium. And you know, the brain is the most impressive, the most complex, the most remarkable organ in the universe. It is indeed fearfully and wonderfully made. And with the brain, there are a lot of misconceptions, as there are in a lot of areas regarding our health. But today, as I said, I want to focus on some of the myths or misconceptions that have to do with the human brain. And the first of which that I'd like to discuss is the fact that, you know, many people think that they're stuck with the brain that they have. Well, that's not true. And to demonstrate that truth, I'd like to use the muscles. You know, the muscles that you were born with, everybody basically has the same amount of muscles in their body. However, you have the opportunity to develop those muscles. You can eat better, you can exercise, you can increase their power, you can increase their strength, you can increase their endurance, you can increase their size. Well, the same parameters, the same laws that govern your muscles also govern the brain. And by that, I mean you can make it healthier, you can make it stronger, you can increase its abilities to function. And how do you do so? Well, some of the ways you do so is by keeping it clean. That is to go through certain detoxification protocols, or to be wary of the types of things that are in your environment as far as chemicals and toxins and pollutants and whatnot. Also by the foods that you eat, eating a cleaner diet, if you will, not so many of the processed or bagged or the canned foods, but the whole foods, the real foods. You can do so by exercising, increasing the blood flow and the oxygen level to the brain, by getting better sleep, by sleeping more restfully, and also by contending with the stress that surrounds you in everyday living. Those are some things that you can do that will literally, in actuality, improve the function and the quality and the health of your brain. Another myth is, once your memory starts to go, it's too late to change it whatsoever. Well, that's bogus, that's baloney. But I will tell you this, when people start to forget things, when they become forgetful, as we say, it's not, we're not to laugh it off as a senior moment or dismiss it as something in the norm. It's not normal. As a matter of fact, just like pain thresholds or pain may come to the surface and remind you of an injured joint that you might have, well, the brain in its mechanism may start to malfunction in a way where you start to forget things, and that's an indicator that's being put out by your body that there's something awry, that there's a malfunction that's going on. But indeed, you can do something that goes ahead and you can arrest that, and you can even reverse it. And again, how would you do so? Well, it's never too late with the human body. The body is always in a state of repair, of regeneration, of restoration. And so with the brain. You can start to eat better or scrutinize the foods that you're eating. Start to learn some new things. Maybe dress differently. And listen, by that I mean, you know, guys, how you put your leg into the right leg always into your pants as you dress. Or ladies, you may always raise your left arm to hold the hair dryer while you brush it out with the right hand. Well, change it. Do something opposite. Require the brain to function in a different way. Give it new challenges. Also, getting into a regular exercise program. You can get out and walk every day, something that is going to increase your heart rate and increase the blood flow and the oxygenation to the brain. That's going to be a tremendous benefit to you. And also paying attention again, as I said, to your diet, to the foods that you're eating. Try to eat whole foods, cleaner foods, and stay away from the packaged, the boxed, and the chemicalized foods. And also watch your weight. Research shows us that an individual that starts to increase in his or her body mass, increasing in their weight, their brain literally starts to shrink. That's an amazing fact, but indeed the capacity of the brain starts to reduce substantially. Now also there's another thing about you don't have to worry about memory loss if you're young. Well, that's not true. It's not reserved just for the elderly. As a matter of fact, the research is showing us now that substantial clinically recognized losses of memory start around the decade or the age of 50, around 55 or 57 years old. That's when it becomes clinically apparent. But you have to understand that that which has become clinically apparent started much earlier in that individual's life. And research and the testing, especially in brain imaging, it's showing us that this seed, if you will, that results in the plant of loss of memory, dementia, Alzheimer's, actually was planted or began to grow in the individual in their 30s, when they were 30 years old. So it's not something that starts later in life. And it's something that you need to address today. As we know, today is the day. Now is the acceptable time. You don't wait until something happens and then react to it. What you want to do is realize that there's a potential of that thing occurring in your future, and you want to be proactive. You want to take steps today to take care of what you have, to prevent those things from happening. So you do so through the lifestyle that you live. Also, the misconception is that Alzheimer's, the worst of the bunch, only happens to the elderly. That's not true. Although it is true that 50%, currently 50% of the people who've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's are in their 80s or older. However, let's not forget the other 50% that make up that equation. Those individuals are much younger. As a matter of fact, we're seeing people in their 40s today starting to manifest the early stages of Alzheimer's, of which occurring, according to the research that I've read, there's 7 different stages of Alzheimer's as it starts and it grows and it matures throughout the individual. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it starts very early on, unbeknownst to many of the individuals that develop Alzheimer's. As a matter of fact, if I may be so blunt, I don't believe that any of these people today that have Alzheimer's ever thought that they would be one of the individuals that would be affected by it. But unfortunately, statistically, we see that in the United States there are nearly 6 million people that are affected, have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And of the 6 million people, you might think that it's the vast majority are the elderly. You would be shocked to find out how many young people make up that statistic. And they are forecasting by the age of, or by the year of 2050, not too far from now, that number is going to triple or quadruple. That's a terrifying statistic. So again, as I mentioned earlier, today is the day and now is the acceptable time. Now, I have to say this also. The myth is that if I do everything right, I will never get dementia. That is not true. We can't make that guarantee. However, we can say that if we do those things that we are supposed to do in caring for the human body, it will function in the way that it was created. And it was manifested, it is created to be well. It will do everything within its ability, within its power, within the influence that's given it to achieve that goal, despite the environment in which it's placed. So again, that's great news. You know, take care of yourself. Don't fall into that, well, you know, que sera, whatever will be kind of mentality. And it's not passed down from generation to generation in regards to Alzheimer's. Because one member of your family has been affected by it doesn't mean that you have to accept that diagnosis for yourself. Take care of yourself. And look, if you'd like to find out more information on steps you can take or what is available to you, please don't hesitate in contacting our office, because that's what we do. We're here to help you in that way. And if there's doctors in your area, search them out. Find out who indeed shares the same philosophy as I've shared on this video, in that we have to take care of ourselves, and we can take care of ourselves, and the drugs are not our solution. Look, I hope that this information that I've shared with you has been beneficial. And until the next video, and as always, God bless.